Morning, everyone. Today we are going so so for the learning outcome, learning Jello is I can explain about Roman that look at the Roman Empire, action of the Roman Empire, Celtic language, Roman roads. Roads were very great, and they brought slaves to Rome. So what is slave? What is slave? So the five important questions in history is the values, who and why. So this is what is slave. Look at that is a slave Romans. So Romans so Romans people are not seen as equals. Roman society is like everyday life. So people were not equal. You're either a citizen, a non-citizen, also known as provincial, or a slave. Citizen means he was from Rome. A non-citizen could be like, let's say, from a city in Italy, or could be Greek, or any other citizen, provincial, or a slave. Most Romans accepted slavery in a couple of ways. So Roman society thought slavery was normal. There always should be slaves. Okay, so there could be men, women, girls, or boys. If you had been captured in battle, it was likely that you may be made to become a slave. You were then sent back to Rome and sold. So if you fought the Romans and got captured instead of died, you would become a slave. And then you're sent back to Rome. Remember we did all the roads? So we were sent back to Rome via all the roads. And then you were sold. Like if you think of it like any animal being sold in the market, that was the same way slaves were sold. Abandoned children were taken as slaves. So children on the streets were taken as slaves. Sometimes fathers could even choose to sell their children into slave trade if they're desperate for money. Just want you to, sorry. Slave also like when you think of animal markets, slaves are a slave market instead of an animal market. Their individual prices depended on their skills and talents. For example, slaves that could cook would be expensive than one that could. So their slaves were to help the Romans. So if they could do extra, they would cost more money. As a slave, important skills could get treated. So if you had skills, you could be treated better. You would get more food. Age also played a massive part in slave prices. Younger slaves were usually more expensive as they were often stronger and fitter. Younger slaves could be strong and fit. And also, if you bought a slave young, they could have time to train them to do the task that you want them to do. So they could be easily trained as well into the task you want them to do. So that's very important as well. Life as a Roman slave. Life wasn't easy for slaves. They were seen as the property of their master and had no rights. Some masters treated their slaves very harshly. So this man here on the left is the master. This here is a slave. So these men didn't usually treat the slaves very nicely. Some worked in the homes of the wealthy and at jobs such as cleaning, washing, dressing their master, and preparing the meals. So this was seen as a good job for slaves. There was a lot of other jobs that was very harsh for slaves, but this was seemingly a good slave job to have. Mining, so mining for gold, metal, was the toughest job a slave could be given as it was very dangerous. So mining for the roads they made, like let's say the stone. So you need to mine for stone, like quarries, and mine for golds for all their luxury items like necklaces and jewelry. They had to mine for metal, like steel, to make swords, helmets, armors for all the soldiers that was conquering Europe, the Roman soldiers. So they needed all these mining shafts to conquer Europe, and what filled the mining shafts was slaves. Okay, this was a very tough job because it's not as safe as it is today. It's still dangerous today, but imagine back in Roman times, 2,000 years ago, it was a lot worse. Some slaves worked on farms, and those who were educated often tutored their masters. So some slaves worked on farms. Some slaves worked on farms. The educated ones, the ones that could teach, were often had to tutor or teach the rich Roman sons and daughters. A slave that served in a household for a long time may have been treated as an important part of the family. Some slaves were treated nicely and a part of the family. Manumission is an important word back then. So manumission was the act of a slave master freeing his or her slaves. Slaves could buy their freedom or be freed by their master after many years of service, making them freed men. So if there were goods and many years of service, they would get manumission and be called freedmen. Formal manumission, performed by a magistrate, let's say the government, gave a former slave full Roman citizenship. So he can even become a Roman citizen after getting free. However, they were never allowed to become involved in politics. Children of freedmen also had full rights of citizenship and could be involved with politics when they became older. So, formal manumission performed by the government gave a former slave full Roman citizenship, became a full Roman citizen with all the rights a Roman citizen has, but couldn't get involved in politics. Informal manumission gave fewer rights. If the master freed the slave themselves, the individual didn't become a proper Roman citizen. So if the master decided just to free the slave without the magistrate or the government, he would not become a Roman citizen. He'd just be a freedman. Any money or property they came to own, the slaves, through their lives went back to the master when it died. So in a way, the master still owns the slaves. We're going to look quickly at gladiators now, but we'll be doing it again in a couple of lessons' time. Most gladiators were slaves who were taught to fight. So this is a prime example of a gladiator. It was usually strong. They trained a lot. They usually got fed well because they had to fight. So they were fed well, they were treated well. Gladiators fought to the death in arenas like the one back here. It's the Colosseum in Rome. So gladiators fought to the death. They were bought and sold like any other slave. Usually there were ex-soldiers that fought against the Roman Empire. So they were very good soldiers. However, they could win their freedom by fighting successfully in amphitheaters. When they fought well in places like this. life after slavery. Although they became free, the former slaves still had a duty to serve their former master in some way. For example, many former slaves continued to do paid work for the former masters. So if they became free, they, they would then probably stay with the master and get paid instead of doing it for free. In some cases, a former slave who had grown up with the family and was treated as part of it inherited the family's wealth or even married a family member. This was extreme cases. It wasn't much of this. Okay, but it did happen. Also, many free men went on to own many slaves of their own. So it was a big circle of slaves becoming freed and then getting slaves themselves. So, as your main activity, I want you to write a diary entry about a slave. So you can talk about how you were captured. So, Dear Diary, that's how it starts. And then you can talk about how you were captured fighting the Romans or you were living on the street as a child and taken into slavery and sold in slave market. Talk about that. You can talk how you're treated by the master if you went to a villa, or you can talk about working in a mine. Okay, so your extension, your challenge question is slavery around today? Is slavery around today? It's plain just last task. So there are estimated 21 million to 45 million people trapped in some form of slavery today. It's sometimes called modern day slavery and sometimes human trafficking. At all times, it is slavery at its core. So it's people doing job work. So these children here are basically human slaves. Okay, very sad. So you think it was only in Roman times, but it's still happening around us today. Okay. Okay, guys. Thank you for listening. Bye.